You came back for me, didn't you? Eli's voice trembled, eyes wide with something between hope and disbelief. I wanted to lie. I wanted to say it was just a coincidence, that I was just a new kid in town, but how do you explain to someone that you've returned from the future just to save their life? The year was 2008, in a quiet town just west of Asheville, North Carolina. It was the kind of place that forgot to change all cracked sidewalks, rust-stained mailboxes, and folks who still used words like queer as insults whispered over pie at the church bake sale. Eli had just turned 18 again. I knew this because I had turned 19 again exactly 1 week before. Back when I lived it the first time, I was older, 28, already too late by the time I learned the truth. But fate, or something crueler, had thrown me back here, given me a second chance. Back then, I never even got to say goodbye. One stormy November night, Eli vanished from the world, a runaway suicide, they said. But I had found the bruises on his ribs, the hidden notes in his locker, the whispers between classmates that always stopped when I walked in. Eli didn't run. He was pushed, and I came back to make sure that never happens again. We met or re-met in Mr. Halpern's fourth-period literature class. He sat by the window, as always, chewing on his pencil like he thought no one noticed, eyes staring out as if the sky held the answers to some question he hadn't yet learned to ask. I took the desk beside him. "New kid," he said, not even looking at me. "Something like that," I replied. He finally turned, and for a second, I wondered if he remembered. If somewhere, deep in his soul, a bell rang. But no, this was Eli before it all. Before the scars. Before the pain. "You're Owen, right?" I nodded. And just like that, the story began again. Eli was an Omega. That alone marked him in a town like ours. Most of the folks here never even talked about dynamics unless it was about cattle or dog breeding. For humans, the idea of betas, omegas, and alphas existing among us was a dirty secret, one that got you expelled, exiled, or worse. I was a beta. No sense strong enough to threaten anyone. No need to dominate or submit. Just invisible. Which, in this case, worked in my favor. I followed Eli through the halls like a ghost from his future. I knew where he'd stop for his second coffee. I knew which stairwell he'd hide in to write his lyrics. I knew the exact day he'd get that envelope in his locker, the one with the slur written in red marker. And I knew exactly which hands had put it there. Not this time. That afternoon, when I saw Brett and his football goons lingering too long near Eli's locker, I waited. And when they slipped away smirking, I stepped in before Eli arrived and took the envelope. Inside was the same message: "Stay in your lane, fairy, before someone puts you down like the dog you are." I burned it. He never saw it. But changing the past isn't as simple as plucking one thread. Fate has a cruel way of reweaving the pattern. As the weeks passed, I let myself be near him more. Not pushing, just orbiting. Letting him feel safe again. He started talking more in class. Started smiling. And one afternoon, in the middle of our town's leaf festival, he touched my hand. Just once. But it was enough. That night, we sat on the hood of my old car beneath the train bridge, listening to the Killers on a scratchy FM station. "You're different," Eli said, voice low. "You don't treat me like I'm some broken thing." "Maybe I know what it feels like," I said. He turned to me slowly. "Do you?" I nodded. His lips trembled. "Sometimes I feel like I'm not really here. Like I'm walking through someone else's dream, waiting to wake up." I wanted to tell him he wasn't dreaming. That I was real, that everything we were, everything we had been and could be again was real. But the timeline hadn't caught up yet. He didn't know what I knew. Not yet. The tipping point came sooner this time. It was a Friday in mid-October, just before the homecoming game. Eli was on the art crew helping with the banners. I was on janitorial duty, pretending to sweep while keeping eyes on Brett. That's when I heard the commotion. Someone had cornered Eli in the gym storage room. The door slammed. I ran. Inside, Brett and 2 others had him pinned. "You gonna cry, pretty boy?" Brett sneered. "Show us how Omegas beg." I didn't hesitate. The mop I carried cracked across Brett's back like thunder. The others turned, startled, and I stepped between them and Eli, shaking with fury I'd held in for over a decade. Touch him again, and I swear to God. You what, beta boy? Brett growled. I'll bury you. Something in my eyes made him believe me. They left. Eli sank to the floor, sobbing, hands covering his face. Why would you? Because I love you? I whispered, before I could stop myself. He looked up slowly. You what? I knelt beside him. I know I shouldn't say it. I know it's fast. But Eli, I've known you longer than you think. And I'm not going to lose you. Not again. His breath caught. What do you mean, again? And I told him. Everything. He didn't believe me. Not at first. Who would? But then came the little things. Details no stranger should have known. The lyrics he never shared with anyone. The secret place he buried the baby sparrow when he was 9. The exact words his mother said when he first came out to her in tears. He stared at me like I was a ghost. So you're saying in your timeline, you died, I said. And I didn't do enough. Tears slid down his cheeks. But I'm here now, I said, pulling him into my arms. And I'm not letting you go. We ran away. Not far, just the edge of town, to an old cabin my uncle had left me. I knew the storm was coming. I just didn't know from where. Brett wasn't the type to take a beating and walk away. And when news broke that Eli, the town's secret Omega, had run off with some queer janitor, the pitchforks practically lit themselves. They came for us one night, truck engines growling, flashlights cutting through the trees, voices shouting our names. We held hands. I'm not scared, Eli whispered. Not with you. I kissed him like I had in that other life for the first and last time. This time I swore it wouldn't be the last. When the men stormed the door, I stood in front. They screamed, called us names, demanded Eli come out. He didn't, because he was already free. Police arrived just in time. Maybe fate gave me a hand. Maybe the universe got tired of seeing this story end the same way. Either way, they were stopped. In the years that followed, we didn't hide. Not anymore. We left town, moved west, started over. Eli wrote music that made people cry. I built a life where he never had to flinch again. He smiled every day. And each time he looked at me, I saw that moment in the gym storage room when he first realized he was loved. He still asks me sometimes why I came back. And I always say the same thing. Because love doesn't end just because time does. Thank you for listening. If you find it interesting, please like and subscribe to follow the next stories.